I'm AG. Welcome to this week's blog. This week I want to talk a little bit about when is it appropriate to carry one decompression bottle and when is it appropriate to carry two decompression bottles. So let's discuss this and discuss some of the parameters. Before we jump into that, I want you to keep in mind that one of the first things that I want you to think about is that when I dive, one of the things that I like to do is I like to decompress so that when I get out of the water, I can continue on my day and my life as usual. I like the decompression to be clean. I like to be able to go and run a triathlon that afternoon. I like to be able to go and work out or do another dive or do 3 dives in a day or do 4 dives in a day. I don't like to be restricted by the decompression where I get out marginally good, but I'm out, I'm safe, I'm not in the chamber, but the decompression was marginal. And I really base that on how I feel after the dive. If I feel alive and vibrant, decompression was good. If I feel sort of run down and beat up and unenthusiastic and low energy, then the decompression wasn't right. And then I tweak some things. So that's my first criteria. The second criteria is I like to be very fluid. There's no hard and fast rules in diving. There's nothing that says absolutely at this mark I move to that 1 bottle or 2 bottle or 3. Not at all. I have generalizations. Basically something like 25 to 30 minutes I'll move to 2 decompression bottles. So if my decompression is 30 minutes or less, I'll use 1 decompression bottle. If my decompression is 30 minutes or more, I'll go to 2 decompression bottles. And I'll explain that. But it's very general. The third thing is I like to carry as little as possible. I don't want to carry big bottles if I don't need them. I don't want to carry excessive amounts of gas if I don't need it. I don't want to oversupply myself with gas when I'm doing a dive that doesn't require it. Less is more, the way I like to think of it. So if I don't need big bottles and I don't need tons of back gas and I don't need tons of Deco gas, why carry it? Carry enough to conduct the dive safely. With that in mind, let's take a couple of examples of this range 1-to-1 as we know it, where we're diving from 100 foot, 30 meters, to 160 foot, 48 meters. In that range, when is it appropriate to carry 1 bottle and when is it appropriate to carry 2 decompression bottles? Let's talk about it. I like to keep, like I said, my decompression right around 30 minutes. I'll carry 1 bottle. If the dive is shallow enough, so if it's in the 120 foot, 36 meter range, there I like to carry an oxygen bottle because the rock bottom that I carry, the 64 cubic foot or 1900 liters that I carry for rock bottom, was going to be plenty enough gas to get me up to the oxygen bottle while air sharing, switch to the oxygen and now do decompression. And if I was to lose the oxygen bottle, again I have enough back gas to do open circuit deco on the back gas. So that's why I like that oxygen bottle. I also find the oxygen bottle to be the best choice of gases because it cleans up that slow tissue. And that for me is a really important thing. So I like that the deeper part of the decompression, such as the deep stops or even the 70 foot, 21 meter range, takes care of the bubbles, takes care of the fast tissues, the bubble mechanics. But the shallow part, the oxygen, will take care of those slow tissues, the dissolved gas. So that's why it's a better bottle. It's the cleanest way to clean out the slow tissues. Of course, as I go to 150 foot or 45 meters, what I find is that the distance, rock bottom wise, to air share and get somebody home back to the 6 meters, back to the 20 foot, is too far. So that's why I put that 70 foot bottle there. So I open that oxygen window at 70 foot or 21 meters at this point, because now it's only 7 minutes or 8 minutes for me to get off the bottom, air share and get my buddy up to the gas switch at 21 meters or 70 foot. And so there I open the oxygen window. Now I can't stay there forever, so of course I emphasize that both for the oxygen window and for the bubble mechanics to work. Because remember, the longer you sit at that stop, the smaller the bubble gets, the quicker it decompresses. So in bubble mechanics, the longer you spend at a stop, the faster you off-gas that bubble. And that's really important. That's why we do an S-curve. So there we S-curve, and then when we get up to the shallows where that bottle is no longer effective, now we just do it, basically the Nitrox 50 is no longer effective at 20 foot, so now we're just really using gradient to drive the gas. And like I said, when that time is 10, 15 minutes of decompression, yeah, you know, does it really warrant an O2, doesn't it? I don't know. Think about it. In ratio deco, if I've got 30 minutes of bottom, that means I need to do 30 minutes of deco. That means I need to do 15 minutes on the Nitrox 50 bottle, and then that 15 minutes is at 20 foot and up. That's 10 minutes at 20 foot and 5 minutes up, right? that 10 minutes, does it warrant an O2 bottle? That's the question we have. That's why I brought that example up. Now, as my decompression extends into 45 minutes or even 60 minutes, now all of a sudden you can see that half becomes 20, 22, 25, even up to 30 minutes of deco at 6 meters or 20 feet. The other 20, 25, 30 minutes becomes at 70 feet. So it becomes a lot of decompression at that 20-foot mark. This is when it becomes appropriate to carry 2 decompression bottles. Because if I just had one big Nitrox 50 bottle and I was going from 160 up, when I got to 70, sure, I would switch to the 70-foot bottle, the 21-meter bottle, and I'd have a good oxygen window there for 20 minutes. But then by the time I got to 6 meters, 20 foot, the oxygen window isn't open anymore. And so now that 20 minutes, 25 minutes, or 30 minutes that I'm doing, depending on my bottom time, of course becomes less effective, if not non-effective. So in reality, the decompression isn't nearly as clean. So that's when I add that O2 bottle. Because now what happens is that 6 meter, that 20 foot becomes the slow tissue cleaning. It cleans out my slow tissue and allows me to be clean, so the next dive I can carry on my life like I've said. So for me, the criteria is like this: 25 to 30 minutes of decompression or less, I use 1 decompression bottle. 30 minutes or more, I use 2 decompression bottles. 1 Nitrox 50 and 1 O2, because I find the O2 really cleans you up really well. Never mind that if I was to lose that 1 big bottle, I wouldn't have enough back gas to do the decompression anyway. So, you know, by just carrying 1 bottle, I'm really jeopardizing a lot of things. I'm not doing a great decompression. I'm not doing a clean decompression. And if I was to lose that bottle somehow, it becomes unusable, I wouldn't have enough back gas to carry it. Whereas if I had 2 decompression bottles, I would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Number 1, I'd have a good, clean decompression. And number 2, if I lost 1 of the bottles, I'd have the other, so I'd have backup. Let me give you a perfect example of this. I went diving up in Seattle, and we were taking pictures of this aeroplane, and I needed to do long bottom times in order to maximize the pictures. The plane's at 150 feet, 45 meters. So the first dive, my dive buddy and I decided we're going to use 2135, and we're going to use an AL 80 or 11-liter tank of Nitrox 50, and we're going to do 45 minutes of decompression. We did the dive, everything went well, we got out, we went home, and I just didn't feel right. I was lethargic, and I didn't want to download the pictures and blend gases, and everything was a hassle. So I said to my partner, you know what, the decompression wasn't right. Let's add an oxygen for tomorrow. So the next day we did the same dive, same bottom, same profile, same everything. The only difference is that we did a Nitrox 50 bottle, an AL 40 or 6 liter, and an O2 bottle of AL 40 and a 6 liter. And now we did the decompression where we did 22 minutes on the Nitrox 50 and 22 minutes on the oxygen. So now I found the decompression to be super clean. When I got out, I felt great. That evening we downloaded the pictures, we started sewing the pictures together using Adobe, we blended gases, we just felt fantastic. So I clued in to the fact that right there and then, that 1 deco gas wasn't so good. 2 deco gases, man, I felt great. So the third day we did 2 deco gases, and the rest of the project was 2 deco gases, and it was fantastic. Everything went really smooth. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this week's blog, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at info@unifiedteamdiving.com, and we'll try to answer those questions as quick as possible. Keep in mind that we do have forums which you can ask questions on Ratio Deco, as well as we have the Ratio Deco materials which you can go through and you can get a sense of all the stuff I've been talking about. Remember, those online classrooms are open to everybody to use at any level. It doesn't matter if you're going to take a UTD class or not. You can take the Ratio Deco online class and learn all the stuff online. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this week's blog, and until next week, safe diving.